Don't react. Cut them off silently. Before we start, let me ask you this. Have you ever wasted your energy trying to explain yourself to someone who never truly listened? You thought they'd change, that they'd finally understand, but they never did. And the more you reacted, the more power you gave them. It's time to stop reacting and start cutting them off silently. No warnings, no explanations, no second chances. Today, I'm going to show you why the silent cutoff is the most powerful move you can make and how to do it the right way. Ready? Let's go. The trap of reacting. Here's the truth. The moment you react, you've already lost. Why? Because reaction means engagement. And toxic people, manipulators, and energy drainers thrive on engagement. They don't care about solving problems. They feed off your emotions, your anger, your frustration, your need to explain. Think about the last time someone pushed your buttons, whether it was a friend, a family member, or even a coworker. They did something disrespectful, and you felt the urge to respond, to defend yourself, to make them understand. But did it work? Or did it only fuel the fire? That's how toxic people trap you. They provoke you just enough to make you lash out. Then they play the victim, twisting the story so you look like the problem. Or worse, they act like they didn't mean it and make you question your own reaction. It's a game, and the only way to win, stop playing. Silence kills the cycle. Every time you react, you give them proof that they still have control over you. But when you refuse to respond, refuse to argue, refuse to even acknowledge their behavior, they lose power over you. And that's when they start to panic. Because people who manipulate aren't afraid of your words. They're afraid of your indifference. The moment you stop reacting, they realize they can't control you anymore. They can't provoke you into an argument. They can't manipulate you into feeling guilty. And nothing scares a toxic person more than losing their grip on you. That's why silence is your ultimate weapon. It starves them of the one thing they crave, your energy. And once you cut off that supply, they either self-destruct or move on to their next victim. So ask yourself this: are you ready to stop feeding them? Because once you do, you'll realize something powerful. You were never the weak one. You just never knew how strong your silence could be. The power of silent detachment. Cutting someone off silently isn't about being weak or avoiding confrontation. It's about protecting your peace. Think about it. What happens when you try to explain why you're walking away? They argue. They guilt trip you. They promise to change. They make you second guess yourself. And suddenly, you're right back where you started. Drained, stressed, confused. That's why silent detachment is the most powerful response. When you walk away without a word, without a fight, without closure, you leave them with nothing to hold on to. And that's what drives them crazy. Because deep down, they expect you to break down, chase after, they beg for respect. Give them one last chance. But when you don't react, don't explain, don't engage, they're left wondering. And guess what? That's their problem, not yours. Why silence hurts more than words. Toxic people don't just want attention, they want control. They want to know they can affect you, that they still hold space in your mind. When you argue, it tells them, I still care enough to fight. When you explain, it tells them, I still want you to understand me. When you get emotional, it tells them, I'm still invested in this. But when you go silent, it tells them nothing. And that nothing is more powerful than any words you could ever say. How to master silent detachment. Want to know the secret? You have to be okay with walking away without validation. No dramatic exit. No warning message. No need to prove your point. Just go. Detach quietly. Block them if needed. Distance yourself emotionally. Let them wonder what happened. And don't explain, because people who truly valued you wouldn't have put you in a position to walk away in the first place. What happens when you detach silently? At first, they won't take it seriously. They'll expect you to come back, to react, to explain. Then they'll start testing you. They might send messages, reach out through mutual friends, or try to provoke you. What if you stay silent? They'll start to feel the absence. They'll realize they lost access to you. They'll feel the emptiness where your energy used to be. And here's the best part. They won't know what to do with it, because they were never prepared for you to actually leave. Your silence is your closure. Most people look for closure before they walk away. They want that final conversation, that last explanation, that moment of clarity. But here's the truth. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. And the moment you accept that, you become untouchable. No reaction, no explanation, no second chances, just peace. The signs it's time to cut them off. Not everyone deserves access to you. Your energy is valuable, your time is precious, and your peace is non-negotiable. But sometimes we ignore the signs. We hold on to relationships, friendships, or connections that are draining us, manipulating us, or making us feel less than we deserve. So how do you know when it's time to walk away without warning, without explanation, without looking back? 1, they constantly drain your energy. Have you ever noticed how some people leave you feeling exhausted every time you talk to them? Maybe they always bring negativity, complaining about everything, but never making changes. Dump their problems on you, but never ask how you're doing. Expect you to be their emotional support, but disappear when you need them. The truth is, some people don't want solutions. They just want to unload their misery onto you. And the more you engage, the more drained you feel. If every conversation with them feels like a weight on your shoulders, that's your sign it's time to cut them off. 2, they don't respect your boundaries. You've told them what you're comfortable with, you've explained your limits, and yet they keep pushing. They dismiss your feelings and call you too sensitive. They cross your lines and then act like it's no big deal. They guilt trip you for saying no. Here's the reality. Someone who truly values you won't make you beg for basic respect. If they keep ignoring your boundaries, it's not an accident. It's a choice. And when someone chooses to disrespect you over and over again, your best response is to remove yourself completely. No debate, no argument, just silence. 3, they manipulate, guilt trip, or gaslight you. Ever had someone twist your words to make you feel like the bad guy? You express your feelings, and suddenly they turn it around on you. You're overreacting. That never happened. You're imagining things. I guess I'm just a terrible person then. These are classic manipulation tactics. They make you question your own reality. They force you to doubt yourself until you feel guilty, even when you were the one who was hurt. Stop falling for it. You don't need to defend yourself against someone who refuses to take accountability. Just cut them off silently. 4, you feel anxious around them. Your body always knows before your mind does. Pay attention to how you feel when you're around this person. Do you feel on edge, like you have to walk on eggshells? Do you feel drained, stressed, or uneasy just thinking about them? Do you feel like you can't be yourself around them? Your nervous system doesn't lie. If your body reacts with stress every time they come around, that's your sign. You don't need to wait for the final straw. Trust what you feel and walk away. 5, the relationship is one-sided. Friendships, relationships, even family bonds, they all require balance. But when you're the only one giving, the only one caring, the only one showing up, it's not a connection anymore. It's an energy drain. You text first, they reply when it's convenient. You check in on them, they don't return the favor. You go out of your way for them, they make excuses when it's your turn. If someone only values you when they need something, that's not love, that's convenience. And you don't have time to be someone's backup plan. Here's what you need to remember. If you keep excusing their behavior, they'll keep repeating it. If you keep waiting for them to change, you'll keep waiting forever. If you keep letting them drain your energy, you'll have nothing left for yourself. The moment you realize you deserve better, you stop explaining yourself to people who never really cared. And the best way to show them? Silence, disappearance, absence. Because the strongest message you can send is saying nothing at all. My words won't work. Let's get one thing straight. Closure is a lie. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your peace. But let's be honest, we've all been there. You think, if I just explain it the right way, they'll finally understand. Maybe if I tell them how much they hurt me, they'll change. I just want them to acknowledge what they did. But let me ask you this. Has it ever worked? Has explaining ever magically changed someone's toxic behavior? Or did they just argue, manipulate, twist your words, and make you regret even speaking? That's the cycle. And the only way to break it, stop explaining, stop expecting closure, just go. The myth of closure. Most people wait for closure before they walk away. They want that last conversation, that moment of clarity, that validation. But here's the harsh truth. Closure isn't something they give you, it's something you give yourself. Because toxic people, they don't do closure. They don't take accountability. They don't own up to their mistakes. They don't suddenly change just because you made them see the truth. Instead, they do this. They argue, that's not what happened. You're twisting things. They gaslight. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. They guilt trip. After everything I've done for you, they play the victim. I guess I'm just the worst person ever. And suddenly, instead of getting closure, you're stuck in another exhausting conversation, defending yourself, explaining yourself, second-guessing yourself. And that's exactly what they wanted. Why silence is stronger than words. When you stop explaining, stop arguing, stop reacting, something powerful happens. They lose control over you. They don't get to manipulate your emotions. They don't get to rewrite the story. They're left with nothing to hold on to, and nothing is more unsettling to a toxic person than being ignored. Because when you argue, it tells them, I still care enough to fight. When you explain, it tells them, I still want you to understand me. When you react, it tells them, I'm still emotionally invested. But when you go silent, it tells them nothing. And that nothing is the loudest message you can send. When you explain, they see an opening. Let's say you decide to have one last conversation. You tell them, I'm walking away because you keep disrespecting me. Now, a normal, self-aware person would say, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that. But a toxic person, they see an opportunity. You're weak, that's not what I meant, you're misunderstanding me. I didn't think you'd take it that way. You're making a big deal out of nothing. So now you're just gonna cut me off? Wow, real mature. See what happened? Instead of respecting your decision, they turn it into a debate. And the moment you engage, they win. How to walk away without explaining. If you're serious about cutting them off silently, here's what you do. Decide you're done. Not maybe, not if they change, not after one last talk. Done. Cut the conversation short. No long texts, no in-depth explanations. A simple, this isn't working for me anymore, is enough. Don't justify your decision. If they ask why, don't engage. Just repeat, this isn't working for me. Block, mute, disappear on everything. No need for a dramatic exit, just leave. Stay silent. No reaction to their guilt-tripping, anger, or fake apologies. And most importantly, don't go back. Because the moment you explain yourself, you reopen the door. And they will use that opportunity to pull you back in. What happens when you stop explaining? At first, they'll try to provoke you. They'll reach out, try to get a reaction, test if they still have control. Then they'll turn to guilt tripping. Wow, so I meant nothing to you? And when that doesn't work, they'll spiral because suddenly they have no power over you. No argument to manipulate, no emotions to twist, no attention to feed off of. And that's when you'll realize they never deserved an explanation. Your peace was always worth more than their validation. And the strongest message you can send, no message at all, the silent cutoff strategy. So you've realized it's time to cut them off. No more debates, no more justifications, no more second chances. But here's the thing. Walking away is easy in theory, but difficult in execution. Why? Because the moment you start pulling away, they'll sense it. And they'll test you. They'll guilt trip you. They'll provoke you. They'll make you question yourself. They'll suddenly change to pull you back in. That's why cutting someone off silently isn't just about leaving. It's about leaving the right way. No mistakes, no openings, no loopholes for them to crawl through. Here's how to disappear without a trace and reclaim your peace. Step one, stop reacting immediately. From this moment on, no more reactions. No angry messages. No long explanations. No emotional outbursts. They expect you to fight back, to defend yourself, to give them a reason to keep you engaged. But you're not giving them that satisfaction. From now on, when they say something disrespectful, you don't respond. Try to provoke an argument, you don't take the bait. Accuse you of being distant, you don't explain. Your silence is your message, and that message is final. Step two, slowly withdraw before they notice. Here's a trick most people don't realize. If you cut someone off too suddenly, they'll fight harder to keep control. So instead of announcing your exit, fade away. Respond less and less over time. Be less available for calls and hangouts. Give shorter, colder replies. Start prioritizing yourself more and them less. By the time they realize what's happening, you're already emotionally checked out. And that makes it 10x harder for them to manipulate you back. Step three, remove their access to you completely. Once you've started withdrawing, it's time to sever the connection. Block them. Yes, block. No second guessing. No, maybe I'll just mute them. Cut off their ability to reach you. Mutual friends if necessary. If they might act as spies or flying monkeys, distance yourself from them too. Change your routines. If they know where you always hang out or how to find you, switch it up. Don't announce your exit. If they don't know you've moved on, they can't manipulate their way back in. No breadcrumbs, no liking their posts, no checking their stories, no indirect social media games. Gone means gone. Huh. Here is no step 4. Expect them to try everything to pull you back. Here's where most people fail. They cut someone off, but then the tests begin, and toxic people, they don't go down without a fight. Here's what to expect when they realize they've lost control over you. The fake apology. I've been thinking and I realize I was wrong. Can we talk? Reality. They don't actually feel bad. They just want access to you again. The guilt trip. Wow, it meant nothing to you? After everything we've been through? Reality. They don't care about your feelings. They care about losing control over you. The anger and blame. You're so cold. You're overreacting. I never did anything that bad. Reality. They're mad because their manipulation isn't working anymore. The desperation move. I need you. I can't do this without you. Reality. They don't need you. They need someone to keep feeding their ego. Don't respond. The moment you react, they win. Don't explain. The more you explain, the more they twist your words. Don't fall for it. If they really cared, they would have changed before you had to walk away. Step 5, emotionally detach. The hardest but most important part. Cutting someone off physically is one thing. Cutting them off emotionally is another. You might feel guilt, even though you know they were toxic. Miss the good times and question your decision. Wonder if they're hurting now that you're gone. This is normal, but here's what you need to remember. You're not responsible for their feelings. You're not obligated to keep someone in your life just because you shared history. Missing someone doesn't mean they were good for you. If they were truly meant to be in your life, you wouldn't have had to walk away in the first place. Step 6, fill the empty space with something better. Here's why most people relapse after cutting someone off. They don't replace the toxic connection with something healthier. If you suddenly remove someone from your life, but don't fill that space, your brain will trick you into thinking you made a mistake. So instead of dwelling on what you lost, focus on what you're gaining. Reconnect with people who actually care about you. Focus on self-improvement. Level up in silence. Find hobbies, passions, and goals that fulfill you. Start building the life you were too drained to create when they were in it. Before you know it, you won't even think about them anymore. And that's when you know you truly won. The final rule, never go back. The biggest mistake people make, going back to what broke them. Maybe they've changed. They haven't. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I was overreacting. You weren't. The moment you let them back in, the cycle repeats. And this time, they'll make sure you don't get away so easily. So remember, when you leave, leave for good. No messages, no warnings, no explanation, just silence. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who walks away and never looks back. The emotional withdrawal phase. Cutting someone off silently isn't just about removing them physically. It's about removing them emotionally. You might feel guilt, doubt, or even sadness. That's normal. But remember, every toxic connection you break makes room for peace. You are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to change. Let that sink in. How they'll react and why you should ignore it. Here's the part no one tells you. They will try to pull you back in, extend guilt trips. After everything I've done for you, faith apologies. I promise I'll change this time. Anger, so you're just going to ignore me now? Pity plays, I need you. Please don't leave me. Don't fall for it. The moment you respond, they win. Stay silent. They're not sorry. They're just sorry they lost control. The aftermath. What happens when you stay silent? Once you cut them off silently, something powerful happens. You take back your energy. You stop feeling drained by their chaos. You find peace instead of conflict. You realize they never deserved your time in the first place. And the best part? Here's what you need to remember. Your silence is your strength. Your absence is your answer. Your peace is your priority. Not everyone deserves access to you. Stop explaining, stop reacting, just cut them off silently.